Have you always wondered how to perform a barbell back squat, but you've always been fearful that weight's gonna crush you, or you have no idea where to start? Not to worry. In this video, I'm gonna give you a step-by-step beginner's guide on how to perform the barbell back squat. I'm gonna break it down into timestamps so that way you have the best checklist on how to perform the exercise correctly. What's going on, guys? Cameron Neal here, and thank you for stopping by to watch this video. So why should you perform a barbell back squat? Well, the squat is a very functional movement pattern that has such a huge carryover into improving our quality of life. Whether it's a simple bodyweight squat or weighted in various forms, the squat requires a level of mobility and strength to perform it correctly. You don't need to be an elite athlete to perform the barbell back squat. It's actually a very accessible exercise and provides huge benefits, including deep core strength, glute activation, leg strength, and also promotes mobility. So in terms of mobility for the squat, there are two main areas that we need to address and have a certain amount of mobility to begin with to perform the exercise efficiently. Firstly, the ankle and how much you can flex, and then secondly, the hip and how much you can externally rotate. So starting with the ankle first, we need to have our knees to travel over our toes. And this is going to help us get the most amount of depth possible through that range there. Now, if you're suddenly thinking, knees over toes, red flag, you're misled. It's completely fine to have your knees travel over your toes while you're squatting, because the whole purpose of dorsiflexion, which is this ability for our ankles to flex like so, we need to have that ability for the knee to travel over your toe like this. So right now I'm in dorsiflexion with the ankle. If we were to limit that, we're going to not get the full range of what the ankle can do in this area. By optimizing dorsiflexion, we can get into a deeper position. That way we can hit the major muscles harder, but also strengthen those end ranges in the joints, particularly in the knees. But yes, there's also a technique to be able to perform the movement safely with your knees over your toes without having too much stress on the knee, and we'll get to that later in the video. Now, if you struggle getting your knee over your toes into that deeper position, then this can be limited by two areas in the ankle. Firstly, if you feel it more in your calves, that means your calves are tight. You're going to have to release them. A really good way to do that is through foam rolling. This is a spiky one, but you can always start with a softer one just by rolling across the calf, or even bringing your other foot on top. This is going to help release a lot of those knots in those ankles. Complementing that with some stretching is going to help improve the range in the muscle. Now, the other limitation could be a blockage in the ankle. So for instance, if you feel a bit more at the front of this part of the ankle here, then that suggests that there's a joint blockage in the joint itself. That's a little trickier to improve, but what you can do is do some joint mobilizations with a resistance band, like shown in this video here. What this aims to do is trying to increase the space through the joints, and that way you can improve that range over time. If in the meantime you want to start squatting while you work on your ankles, you can elevate your heels with something like a small plate, and you can squat from there. This will help you allow your knees to travel over your toes without sacrificing your form, and you can do this while you work on improving your ankle range of motion. Secondly, at your hips. As you squat, you need the ability for your knees to go wide as you can without buckling inwards. If your knees do this, this can be a lack of stability through your glutes, or you just struggle opening up your hips to squat low. Now, there's so many areas we can look at in terms of opening up the hips, but one of the main reasons why you struggle opening up your hips or feeling stable is the lack of activation through your glute medius. And if you struggle activating your glutes, I do have a video here that you can watch, and that's going to have a quick guide on how to activate your glutes effectively, and that's going to prepare you in terms of squatting. And you can supplement this with a hip 90-90 stretch beforehand to open up those hips. All right, so once we've addressed those mobility issues, now we can finally get under the bar and start lifting. For the setup, just making sure that these J hooks here are going to be just below shoulder height. That way we don't need to come onto our toes to lift off the bar, because that's going to put you off balance. Next, this section here is the middle part of the bar. We want to make sure that we're going to be centered as possible, and it's going to be placed along, there's a small meaty section just below your neck and just above your shoulder blades. You'll know when it's really uncomfortable, and you'll know when it's just right. And if you get in that right position, you won't need to put a pad over the top or a towel. So now get yourself underneath the bar. Normally you'll be facing the J hooks, that's just a general practice, but I'm going to be facing away from them just for the purpose of this video. Okay, so just take a few steps forward. General rule of thumb, you want to keep the feet hip width apart. Everyone's going to have a little bit of difference in their technique depending on limb length, mobility issues, and so forth. But general rule of thumb, feet hip width apart, toes having at 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock, okay? Hands, you want to try and bring them in as close as possible into your body. That's going to keep yourself nice and tight up here, okay? When you're ready, eyes forward, push your bum back, initiate the movement from there, lower down and back up. And in terms of depth, you want to try and get your thighs parallel with the ground and come back up. You won't need to go below parallel unless you have really good mobility or your sport requires for that deep depth. Right, so if you are feeling this exercise more in your knees and quads, this is what your technique's going to be looking like. You're going to be pushing forward like so. And you're going to feel it more in that front section. As opposed to initiating through the hips, push your bum back, now bend your knees and allow your knees to travel forward that way. When you're lowering down as well, don't allow your knees to cave in like this. Okay, that's going to put a lot of pressure on those knee joints and you're going to lose the stability, you're not going to get the glute activation you want. So instead, push those knees out to the side, keeping your feet where they are and squatting up. Like so. All right, for breathing. So a good starting point is to breathe in at the top and then breathe out as you come up. This is a really good starting point, but at some point, I want you to learn how to create intra-abdominal pressure. This is more of an intermediate technique that we introduce for these compound lifts. Essentially, we want to keep these midsection here super tight. And I'm going to make more of an in-depth video about this, but quickly to cover the basics of that today. So as I breathe in, I'm going to let my stomach expand, not just out front, but also laterally and behind as well, trying to really expand this area here. I'm going to keep that super tight as I breathe in, this area here, holding that, breathing out at the top. So what it looks like with the bar. Okay, so breathing in, stomach expand, holding that, breathe out the top. And that's going to allow you to be super strong for the movements. It's going to take some time to implement that, but again, I'll make a video soon more in depth on how to be more efficient at abdominal bracing. All right, just a couple final things to finish off this video. Firstly, always a good idea to have the safety pins laid on the rack. You are probably 99% not going to need them, but it's always there just in case if you do fail. But you won't be needing that when you're first starting out. It's only when you're lifting a significant amount of weight, and that's going to be really challenging you. Secondly, don't wear a belt. Unless you've made significant progress in your technique and you've really mastered abdominal bracing and you're lifting heavy way beyond your body weight, there is no need to wear a belt. If you really struggle with keeping your core tight and just getting your technique, just actually don't even use the bar. Start with bodyweight squats, start with the goblet squat, and then work your way up from the bar with good technique. Okay, so that is it for this video. There was a lot of information here, but I hope I managed to break the technique down for you to start progressing, whether it's just from the beginning or there's something in your technique that you're missing and you need to fix that problem so you can actually progress and get some really good strength gains from here. If you'd like to learn how to do a Romanian deadlift, I have a video tutorial on my channel as well. You can click the link here and that will take you there. It's one of the best exercises you can do to work on building hamstrings and glutes, and that's going to complement your strength gains nicely with this squat. If you have any further questions on the technique or you want to see other exercises for me to cover, please let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to reach out to you or create those videos for you. Until next time guys, thanks for watching.